You're probably wondering, what kind of monsters does Queen Incubus have? Because it does have Incubus in the title. And if you're hoping for necessarily an actual incubus in this, I'm going to apologize a little ahead of time. Not quite in the same essence. Though she is technically trapped in the bedroom. Despite that, though, the closest thing I can say, things that we get to hearing about monsters in this world, is interesting in relation to their religion. They have these warrior nuns who are called the Maidens of the Three Shades, and the Three Shades refer to three gods. And those three gods are the Dark Lord, who's sort of like the king of the underworld, the Master of Wishes, which is almost like a king of the jinn kind of vibe, and then the Queen of Despair. And all we know is that the Three Shades have gone missing in the world, and that's why there's so much chaos. That's why we don't know where the gods are necessarily, though there's sort of this vibe that they're not far away, right? And that's kind of exciting, despite most of this novel taking place in a very selective, almost like a goth romance kind of vibe, because she's stuck in a castle for a majority of it. Despite this, they are not the monsters in this novel. In fact, in the whole trilogy, they are not. In fact, the monsters are far scarier than that. And I've discussed this before, that sometimes the scariest monsters could be actually the most human of them all. And in this case, it would come from the old men on the council. So if you've listened to the reading of chapter 1, you'll understand exactly a little flavor of what I'm talking about, because they want to overpower her, they want to belittle her, they want to keep her as a canary in a cage. But strangely enough, Advisor of Inequity, Melagos, is like, no, I'm standing up for her. And for some reason, he has a lot of pull in the kingdom, which is a whole nother matter and a whole nother reveal throughout the storyline. But it's her own father, right? The idea that someone who is your own flesh and blood would have ill intent, right? And as the story develops, you learn that some of the advisors are just as guilty of this. And then we have the impending doom of the King of Castor. The Kingdom of Castor is ran by a king who is dubbed the Whore King. And the reason for that is because he goes around and you either give him a princess, and it must be a crowned princess so he can take over and absorb your kingdom eventually, or he's just gonna raid it and take it for his own anyway. But you know, as the story unfolds, you discover that the Whore King has no heirs, no legitimate heirs, no heirs he's announced or proclaimed or anything of the sorts. So Valechka is going to do her best to make sure she can not only seduce this harlot of a king, but part of her deal with him is she's going to be more daring than anyone has ever been, and make it part of the deal that they have to produce an heir together. And it has, in order for him to get everything he wants from this marriage. And there's also beef between Melagos, our Advisor of Inequity, who should be the shady one, the kind of character, but he's not in this king and other kings. So if you're wondering what the monsters are in Queen's Incubus, it is the people. It is the people who should be taking care of her, that are to be feared the most. And those who are new to her life tend to have more compassion for her in the long run. But I can't wait to see speculations. There is a hint of magic in this world. I went really light, just as I've done in the Princess Priest trilogy under V.C. Willis. I tend to downplay the magic really low, because I like low magic with high stakes, because I can then throw magic in when it's convenient, or when I feel like I really need to twist things in maybe dark ways. But I can't wait for you to share with me who you think the bigger monster is in this book.